very happy to have with us a very important candidate, Yasharth Shekhar. And Yasharth has qualified for this year's examination, UPSC Civil Services, with a brilliant rank 12. And Yasharth has the record of having the maximum marks in geography, 306. So thank you so much for joining us, Yasharth. It's a pleasure to have you here. I must acknowledge the fact that Yasharth has not been my student directly, but he has been very kind to be part of the conversation, talk to us and share whatever his method was, his strategy was. So Shekhar, thank you for coming in, and congratulations from our side for this wonderful success, for this excellent achievement that you have had at this stage.
Thank you
So, what was your feeling when you got your result? Who broke the result news to you?
I saw the result myself. No,
Okay.
not a lot of people do that. But I was sitting with my laptop, and my father was sitting behind me. My mother was sitting in front of me, and I checked the result.
Wow.
And it's a surreal feeling to see your name in the very first page itself. So I started shouting Barvi because 12th is my rank. So those were the first words that came out of my mouth. Barvi, and after that the entire, it's a surreal feeling.
Okay.
It's indescribable. When I remember that day, even today, there is a smile on my face with what I experienced on that day, and I'm grateful to my parents, to God, my sister, to everyone, to my friends, who has been part of this journey, because some parts of this journey were very tough. I think every aspirant has to go through that, and now when it has come to a fruitful conclusion, I'm very happy, and geography has played an important role in that with 306, and it also helped me in my general studies paper 1. So I think at the end of the day, all swells that ends well.
Brilliant.
So
brilliant.
I'm very happy with that.
So Shekhar, were you expecting a result this year? Were you expecting a good rank this year?
No, nobody I think expects a very good rank, but I was expecting to a certain extent. There was a subconscious understanding that okay, I might see my name in this year's list, because last year I missed the list by around 13 marks. So anyway, and there was a very huge part played by general geography optional paper 1 where I did not do well. This time I had done well enough so that I was expecting my name in the list, but to see my name so high on the list,
yes,
that is something that takes.
That's a very important news to share with all of you. A fact is that when toppers work hard, okay, even they are not very sure about whether they'll qualify. Some of them have an idea, okay, I'll be in the list, but to be sure about I'll be in top 10, top 20, top 30, I have not met anybody being so sure about, yes, I'll get the toppers rank. Okay, that means this examination has its own share of uncertainties, which I think we learn to manage eventually. So excellent, Yasharth, that's wonderful. So Yasharth, this is your third attempt.
Yes.
Okay, so I would like all the viewers and all the students, aspirants to acknowledge this fact that for Yasharth, the journey has been not a magical journey or an overnight success. And Yasharth, your graduation is from?
I've done graduation in economics honors from St. Stephen's College.
St. Stephen's College. So this only tells us that Yasharth has in general been a good student, a hard-working student, among the best colleges of the country, and it has taken him almost 3 attempts. तो क्या हुआ आपका first second attempt में Yasharth?
First attempt I did not focus on my prelims. I was studying the whole year because I graduated in 18 and I had nothing else to do apart from studying. But again, my preparation was not very surgical, so I missed the cutoff of prelims. I had not done test in prelims. In the second attempt, when I cleared the prelims, I had worked specifically for prelims, and I didn't realize the importance of writing answers in my second attempt. So I did not have a very good score in my mains, and I did not specifically focus on my optional as well. So I had a very subpar average score of 251 in my geography optional. But this time I was able to correct both of those mistakes. I worked hard for my prelims and I worked hard for my mains, and I wrote many answers and I read newspapers and I did everything that every average student like me would do. I focused specifically on geography because I realized that geography there is a scope that you improve your marks by 40-50. General studies there is a ceiling beyond which it's very difficult to score marks. But again, I think these things worked in my favor and I was able to get very good marks in my mains.
So I hope we all realize that it is not luck and destiny why people don't qualify, that might play a role. Would you agree on that, that there were gaps in your preparation, first, second attempt, because of which you didn't make it?
Yes, there were many gaps in my preparation, and since it's a long journey,
Yes.
you come to realize about those gaps. Somebody like me, somebody realizes them in the very first attempt, so they are able to get a rank in the first attempt. But somebody like me, I think, I realized them through my failures,
Right.
what I failed, and I try to improve those failures. And this has been, if I were to summarize my journey, it's about learning from my mistakes.
Absolutely.
And to be able to improve upon those mistakes in my third attempt. And so third attempt, in my second attempt, I was able to understand where I did go wrong.
Yes, yes.
So eventually your main marks matters more than anything. So I was able to correct those mistakes and I was able to get a rank.
About this process, I think what's required is patience. What's required is an honest evaluation of what the gaps are, which I think through the initial attempts were able to manage. Okay, you filled up those gaps with your efforts.
Geography, I think, as an optional requires a bit of patience. I think paper 2 is not that difficult. Paper 2 is very easy, and the kind of questions that have been asked lately.
Applied basis and current affairs.
So they actually reduce your stress कि क्या पढ़ना है क्या नहीं पढ़ना है. This happens more so in case of paper 1 because paper 1 का syllabus is fixed.
Yes.
You know what is there in the syllabus, but to cover each and every topic well enough, and the questions are being asked in analytical manner also. So your preparation should be, and this is something which I realized in my first attempt. My preparation was simply about learning about topics,
yes.
Not analytical in that sense. Even paper 2, I was focusing more कि Himalayas कैसे बन रहे हैं, ये कैसे बन रहा है, not on the applied aspect.
Okay.
So I was able to correct these mistakes, but दोनों की strategy different होती है. I think by realizing what my failures were, I was able to get a rank, get marks above 150 in both paper 1 and paper 2. So I think this works. I think this should work for every aspirant. If you are able to recognize your mistake and you are able to correct it, I think
it works.
It works.
But 306 is incredible. That's wonderful. So did you have this target in mind that I must score more than 300 marks in geography?
No, sir.
No.
In geography, you don't target.
Thank you so much, because students, they come to me to ask, sir, what can we do to get 300 plus marks? What can we do to get 290 marks? So I always tell them this, you can't set a benchmark that I want to score 300. So thank you for saying that. But yes, your preparation was thorough in that sense.
My preparation, this attempt, my preparation was a bit thorough, and I had made sure that I cover almost every topic. And
Excellent.
even for those topics, which you are not able to cover well, for example, periglacial landform, not a lot of people read about it. But I had read about almost everything here and there, enough to write at least 100-150 words. That was my, but there are some topics like jet stream, you have to know about that, fully. If there is a topic like Davis cycle of erosion, you should know everything about it, those positives and cons about it, positives and negatives of that theory as well. But those topics, for example, this year there was a question on altiplanation.
Yes.
Now a lot of people were not able to answer that question, but I was able to write enough with 3 diagrams and everything, because I did not know enough to write at least 250 words, but I know enough to write at least 100 words, and I was able to add something here and there to complete the answer.
Excellent.
So
excellent. Exactly. Did you have marks as a target, or did you go ahead and do your work and wait for the results?
I think given the kind of marks that geography has been getting, last year highest was I think 287. So I had a target that try to get at least above 275. This was this is something that I had thought of, and I was not expecting 306, but my papers went well. I was expecting more in my paper 2 than my paper 1, but paper 1 again, if you work hard, then paper 1 will
Excellent.
give good returns, because that is less applied.
How did you choose geography? Because your graduation subject was economics, okay, and it makes sense that you choose a subject of your graduation. How did you choose geography?
I think I would not say that I chose geography. It never was a choice. It was something, a subconscious decision that came from my mind. From the moment I graduated in 2018, it was decided I was going to take geography. So I never had to choose it. It was always there.
Okay.
A lot of people take put PSIR syllabus, anthropology syllabus, or other optional syllabus, and then they decide which option is good, or they consult with number of people regarding ये वाला optional अच्छा है या वो वाला optional अच्छा है. पर मुझे कभी सोचना ही नहीं पड़ा. Because I always had this thing in my mind, अगर option लेना है तो geography लेना है. So I never had to choose about it.
It was what? Interest? Was it because of some random factors? What was the driving factor?
I think primary motive तो interest ही था. मतलब primary reason for taking geography was interest. और इंटरेस्ट होना भी चाहिए बिकॉज हर किसी का फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में नहीं होता है. So we might go to the second attempt, third attempt, fourth attempt. So you will only be able to carry your optional if you're interested in it.
Absolutely.
Secondly reason ये था कि GS में बहुत ज़्यादा coverage था. Because of that only I have a very good score in General Studies paper 1.
Okay.
And third reason ये था कि I always loved mapping, traveling, tourism, and geography gives you, so
good edge on all of that.
Good edge in all of that, and at the same time, it gives you a reason to explore about places, especially you see in paper 2 Indian geography. There are so many places I used to search on Google Maps, and so many places I came to know about. So it was all a matter of interest. More or less, I would say, if I were to summarize my reason, the most important reason for me to choose geography was interest in the subject. So I think interest in
all our viewers and all our students, aspirants out there, I think it's a very important message from Yasharth here. The basis of the subject should not be whether it's easy or difficult. It should not be whether there's a coverage of GS, or not as the primary basis. The primary basis has to be your interest, whether the subject can hold your attention long enough. Because like you said, a subject has to be read for 2 or 3 years, for most of the aspirants. So अगर interest नहीं है तो आप नहीं पढ़ पाएंगे. So I think I'll give the entire credit to Yasharth for having chosen this subject on the basis of what he loved, what he was interested in. So that's a message for all of you. When you're choosing an optional subject, you make a choice wisely there. So thank you so much, Yasharth. So moving ahead, Yasharth, on the next question, there are lot of fear, there's a lot of concern around geography optional. Did you have moments where you regretted your choice, or you thought that maybe it's difficult, not manageable? Did you have those moments of doubts in your preparation?
I was pretty confident about geography, and the only moment of doubt came when I couldn't find my name in the list.
Second attempt.
In my second attempt, I think September 21 was the date when the results came last year, and I was too shattered. And the first thing, when I was talking to my mother about geography optional, I said, "Badal दूँ क्या?" And my mother said, नहीं बदलना है. क्योंकि उन्होंने बोला कि इसमें तुम्हारा बेस बन गया है, तुम्हारा फाउंडेशन इसी में है.
Yes.
तो तुम अब कोई भी ऑप्शनल दूसरा लोगे, you'll have to begin from the very beginning.
Yes.
But this will not be a case with geography. You've already done almost all the syllabus in geography. It will only be a matter of revision, and you have to do it more surgically.
Yes.
You will write more tests. You will do this and that. You will be able to if you are able to realize your mistake, then you will do wonders with your optional. So this was an advice that she gave me, and this advice worked truly well. Apart from that, you see, every option that you're reading, and once you are in the journey of civil services, there will be many ups and downs.
Yes.
So at every moment of down, if we are going to begin questioning our optional, I think this will not work. This strategy will not work. And I've already told a lot of people, always tell a lot of people, that think 1,000 times before choosing your optional. This was not the case with me. I never had to think about it because it was a natural call for me.
Yes.
But again, somebody who is making a rational decision
Yes.
about what option to take, I tell them, think 1,000 times before choosing an optional. After choosing an optional, don't think even once.
Great.
Once you have chosen an optional, then that is your life breath, that is your food. No matter how good it is, how bad it is, and I don't think so that any optional is bad. If I'm scoring above 300 plus, it means that every aspirant, which means UPSC is giving marks.
Yes.
So you just have to work a bit hard. It means if you're not scoring marks, which means you might not be working in the proper direction, or there might be some mistake here and there. But I think once you choose an option, you should not think about it, and there should not be an element of regret, and this should not even cross your mind. That's what I think.
Wonderful. Okay. So be choosy, be logical. Think about the subject before you jump into it. When you jump into it, you don't look back.
Yeah, you don't.
Okay, because yes, you winding up and starting all over again is okay. I mean, it's tiring. It saps your energy. It impacts your confidence. Okay, so great. Thank you so much, Yasharth here. Achha, Yasharth, about geography, how did you manage the coverage? Was it entirely self-study, or was it with some support systems around you? How did you manage geography?
I joined a coaching for my geography, and I realized that some of the notes were not sufficient for me to cover, and then I joined another video lectures. I bought video lectures of geography and I made notes of them verbatim. After that, I realized that okay, those notes even did not cover many aspects of geography, because the syllabus of geography has become very analytical.
Yes.
If they're going to ask you a question, if there's a topic like Kober's geosynclinal theory,
Yeah.
they're not going to ask you. UPSC these days is not asking what is Kober's geosynclinal theory.
Yes.
They're asking you the critical analysis, the positives and the negatives
Yes.
of the theory. So I realized those things were missing from my notes. So what I did, I simply tore out those pages from Savindra Singh, let's say, or from other books which are available in the market for advanced geography option students.
Yes.
And I stick them to my notes. So at the end of the day, when I read them again, I did some validation here and there. So by the end of it, I had a separate 2 copies for geomorphology, I think 2 copies for climatology, 1 copy for oceanography, and 1 copy for biogeography, and environmental geography I did not specifically prepare, but for almost all the topics in the geography, I had made a set of notes which were analytical in nature, and I was referring to those only. So once you get all the material together, you combine them into one separate copy,
and revise
it again and
Excellent.
again. And once you're revising it, you'll do some value addition, because value addition will come naturally. I think a lot of people are confused about how to do value addition. I think it does not come by force. It comes from your natural understanding. So once you have understood a concept well, you'll realize, okay, I need to learn something more, a bit more about it,
Okay.
to help my understanding, and then it will come naturally to him what he should add or what he shouldn't add. So and this validation will come from internet, it will come from newspapers. There are so many sources. If you're reading any monthly magazine, if you're reading any compilation of current affairs, it will come from there. But through all these processes, it will end up in a copy. You'll have to revise that copy 1,000 times, literally, figuratively.
Absolutely,
You'll have to revise
yes.
it at least 4 or 5 times, and then you have to write more and more tests.
So the message that should get conveyed to all of you is, preparing for a subject, preparing for an optional is not a one-day process. And very importantly, it is not on the basis of one coaching center or one notes alone. You'll have to develop your concepts on your own, read some books. And Yasharth, do I assume that you are recommending students to read books also and not simply rely on the notes that are available? I
would say that a lot of people come to ORN thinking that, okay, I'll get the coaching notes of here and
Yes,
I'll prepare and I'll get very good marks and clear UPSC and be out of the circle. I think that's very infeasible, impractical, because at the end of the day, you'll have to come back to books, and you'll realize that, okay, notes are good, but you will realize that books have their importance of their own.
Yes.
So you'll realize some concepts you will understand better through the books.
Yes.
The thing is that notes become popular because a lot of people don't want to work very hard, because they think that somebody had made set of notes for them. I think it's sufficient for them.
Yes.
I think that a lot of people think that. But I think notes are important, but at the end of the day, I think without books, even I wouldn't have get...
Thank you for saying that, Yasharth, because that's something my students, some of them argue with me. I always suggest this कि notes तो हैं ठीक है, they become your base, but without the textbooks, you will not have clarity, you can't value add, and if you have doubt, you should know which page to look into, okay, refer to. So thank you for suggesting that. Very importantly, if you have all heard this, that this is a part of a process. Yasharth, here we call this as the learner's journey. That there is a stage 1 preparation, a stage 2 preparation, a stage 3 preparation. There is a basic preparation you require, then you need to keep on value addition in it. You must give your tests. So any take on this thing, this concept, okay, or how do you think a student should go about in his preparation?
I think, it always, any preparation, I think if I talk in terms of geography, it will require some bit of patience.
Yes.
It does require patience, because syllabus is vast, first of all. To read it once, to read it twice, and to be able to get good command over the critical areas.
Yes.
And still, a lot of people, when they complete this concept and think, and they still haven't covered, many of them, when they say that they have covered the syllabus, they still haven't touched many topics like channel morphology or indentation chronology.
Yes.
So it requires a bit of patience, and I personally think that geography cannot be covered in 3-4 months well enough.
Excellent.
To to develop a very good understanding of geography. I don't know about other options, but I personally think that it took me at least 1 year, I would say,
wow,
to get hang of geography as a subject. And after that it was, you know, even after that I was not able to get good marks because I did not do enough answer writing. So for me, I think geography does require a bit of patience and does require a bit of more effort. But again, the returns that comes out of geography, they're very good, because the kind of questions that have been asked in general studies paper 1, they're very geographical oriented. So if you have a good command over geography, you'll do well. So I would suggest that geography does require much amount of patience, and the process may be tiring, but it's long, but it's worth it. And at the end of the day, if your preparation is surgical, the thing with geography is very conceptual.
Right.
So once you have understood the concept, there's no need of, you know, learning everything up. Especially topics like climatology, they're very concept based. And process based. So if you have understood the process once, I think it becomes easy. But again, it will take some time to master geography. But once you've mastered it, writing, test and everything will become easy, and you'll be able to get very good marks.
Excellent. So yes, this is something that I acknowledge. Geography is not for that, but any optional is not a subject of 2, 3, 4 months. It's a process you go through. Okay, you have to prepare. Okay, lot of self-study also. It requires lot of value addition also. So he says 1 year. I agree with that. It does take in 2 or 3 phases. So all the students there, aspirants there, make sure that you have that type of persistent. You have that type of commitment to keep on doing and value addition in your studies. How exactly did you divide your time, Yasharth? That's the question students ask us. How do we manage timetable of the day? How do you study GS, current affairs? So what was the typical time slotting for the day in your preparation?
I think since we have to study, if we take into account the syllabus of geography, syllabus of UPSC, not only in terms of geography, I think there are 3 basic things that we have to study: your optional, your general studies, and your current affairs.
Okay.
So I divided my day into 3 parts. The first part was reserved for geography because I was specifically focused on my optional, and I realized in the morning you have the maximum amount of energy, and that energy amounts of starts to fritter down when you reach the fag end of the day. Second thing that I read was, second slot was reserved for general studies, and the third slot was for my newspaper reading.
Okay.
Newspaper reading, I was fixed. I had given 3 hours for my newspapers. I was reading 2 newspapers, Indian Express and Mint, and I used to read them 1.5 hours each newspaper. So it turned out to be around 3 hours.
Okay.
Before those monthly magazines came, compilation came, and I decided to modulate everything. Barring the 3 hours that were fixed for my newspaper reading, general studies I had no fixed hours. Geography also I had no fixed hours left, depending upon how much do I have to prepare, because my preparation was solely revolving around the test that I was giving. So if I realize that tomorrow a test on geomorphology is pending and I still have to cover a large percentage of syllabus, so I might study geography for 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours on a stretch, taking breaks here and there.
Okay.
So I will reduce the amount of time I'm studying for general studies, like let's say for 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Okay. But if I say a general studies test is upcoming, so I'll reduce the time for geography to around 4 hours, and increasing the time for general studies for, let's say, to around 3-4 hours.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I will say one thing, that almost 50% of my time was spent studying geography.
Okay.
And remaining 50% of the time was divided between
GS and
current affairs, because I realized that geography was my strength. So I wanted to get a hang of geography because I had 251 in my second attempt, and I realized that by getting scores like these, I will never be able to at least get the service of my preference, which is IAS. So I realized that if I have to get IAS, I will have to work on my optional. So in the morning, at least for 4 hours, I used to study geography on a stretch. There was no break in between, because after 1-2 hours you get into a flow.
Okay.
And in that flow, whatever you read, probably you retain it for a longer period of time. That's what I felt. Some days I used to study geography continuously for 6-7 hours, and some days were simply devoted for geography. I was studying geography for 8-10 hours. Okay. And the remaining 2-3 hours were for newspaper reading. So more or less the day was divided into 3 hours. On an average day would look like I would get up at 8, around 8, and 8:30 I have to be at the study table.
You had a proper timetable on a daily basis?
No, not proper timetable. These slots were very much flexible. So how many hours I'm studying in a geography, I used to decide that very day.
Okay.
How many hours I'm
But you
studying
did have a broad idea about क्या पढ़ना है क्या नहीं पढ़ना है?
ब्रॉड आइडिया तो ऐसा, ब्रॉड आइडिया क्या क्या पढ़ना है दैट वाज फिक्स, दैट वाज डिपेंडिंग अपॉन कि किसका टेस्ट अप्रोच हो रहा है. अगर जियोमॉर्फोलॉजी है तो ऑब्वियसली डेविस पेंक एलसी किंग पढ़ना पड़ेगा. क्लाइमेटोलॉजी है तो जेट स्ट्रीम पढ़ना पड़ेगा. बट ऑन एन एवरेज अगर 7:30 बजे मैं पढ़ने बैठ रहा था, सो आई यूज्ड टू स्टडी फॉर लॉन्ग आवर्स एंड देन टेक अ ब्रेक ऑफ 1 आवर. आधे घंटे का ब्रेक मैं नहीं लेता था कि 2 घंटे पढ़ने के बाद आधे घंटे का ब्रेक ले लिया, फिर 2 घंटे पढ़ लिया. अगर मैं पढ़ रहा हूँ तो लगातार मैं 4 घंटे पढ़ लेता था, 5 घंटे भी लगातार मैं पढ़ लेता था, लगातार 6 घंटे भी. 6 घंटे से टफ थिंग.
बल्क टाइम डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन रादर देन स्मॉल स्लॉट्स.
मैं बल्क में पढ़ लेता था. देन आई यूज्ड टू टेक अ ब्रेक कि 1 घंटे का ब्रेक ले लिया, 1.5 घंटे का ब्रेक ले लिया. बट मोर और लेस ऐसा होता था कि 8:30 बजे अगर मैं पढ़ने बैठ रहा हूँ तो एटलीस्ट 1-1:30 तक मैं ज्योग्राफी पढ़ता था. आफ्टर दैट आई यूज्ड टू टेक अ ब्रेक फॉर 1-1.5 आवर एंड देन 2-3 घंटे जीएस. then a break for 1 hour, 1.5 hour, then current affairs. Okay. But some days ऐसा भी हुआ है कि 8:30 बजे पढ़ने बैठ गए तो 3 बजे तक ज्योग्राफी पढ़ रहे हैं. तो हमेशा 1, 2, 3 के बीच में ही मैं ज्योग्राफी एंड करता था. तो हमेशा जो अगर 12 घंटे भी मैं पढ़ रहा हूँ तो 6 घंटे was for geography. The remaining 6 hours were divided between current affairs.
So there was nothing magical in this. It was hardcore work. Okay, I can see 6, 7, 10 hours of work more or less. Okay, it was based on some sense of what is more important priority. Okay.
Yes. मैंने इस बार प्रायोरिटाइज कर दिया था कि मतलब आई वर्क ऑन ज्योग्राफी. ये तो डिसाइडेड था. इसलिए अब क्या होता है कि समटाइम्स व्हेन यू आर स्टडीइंग जनरल स्टडीज इन द मॉर्निंग, टाइम ही नहीं बचता है ज्योग्राफी पढ़ने के लिए. तो मैंने कहा कि ज्योग्राफी पहले स्टार्ट करके मतलब यू आर डन विद ज्योग्राफी इन द फर्स्ट हाफ ऑफ द डे, सो दैट एटलीस्ट ऑप्शनल पेंडिंग पे नहीं जा रहा है. तो ये मेरा मतलब कॉन्शियस डिसीजन था कि इस बार फोकस करना है ज्योग्राफी एज एन ऑप्शनल.
राइट.
और तो वही मैंने बेसिकली किया. और दूसरी चीज़ थी कि 2 चीज़ें तो डेली करनी है. जनरल स्टडीज़ मिस भी हो जाए चलता है, पर एटलीस्ट 4 से 6 घंटे ज्योग्राफी एंड 3 घंटे न्यूज़पेपर. दिस वाज फिक्स्ड. दिस वाज और मैं रेगुलर रहता था. अब ये लोग पूछते हैं कि हाउ टू स्टे मोटिवेटेड. आप अपने शेड्यूल को फॉलो करिए. अब शेड्यूल बिल्कुल फिक्स मत रखिए. अब लोग करते हैं क्या है कि इतना टफ शेड्यूल बना लेते हैं कि देयर इज लैक ऑफ ब्रीदिंग स्पेस. एंड देन वो एक दिन नहीं फॉलो कर पाते तो वो डिमोटिवेट हो जाते हैं. 2 दिन फिर और नहीं फॉलो करते हैं. तो मेरे साथ भी ये हुआ, ऐसा नहीं है. तो मैंने ये किया था कि आप फ्लेक्सिबल रखिए. किसी दिन 1 बजे तक पढ़ लिया, किसी दिन 2 बजे तक पढ़ लिया, किसी दिन 3 बजे तक पढ़ लिया. तो ये फ्लेक्सिबल था. और
फोकस वाज कि कुछ टारगेट्स मीट करने हैं.
हाँ, कुछ टारगेट्स.
ओके, द स्टडी इज द प्राइमरी थिंग. सो आई थिंक there's lot of learning here. Okay, I think fixed strategies don't work. The strategies will keep changing. The strategies will keep getting modified as per the requirements. It also depends on whether tests are coming or not. Are you more inclined towards finishing a topic of GS? So, but the focus has to be keep on studying.
Yes,
okay.
Excellent. Keep on
studying. So Yasharth, ये बताइए, how important are books like NCERTs? How important are those concepts? Okay. जो स्कूल लेवल के कंसेप्ट्स हैं, डिड यू फाइंड दैट इज वेरी क्रिटिकल और यू डिसाइडेड टू बाईपास ऑल ऑफ दैट एंड स्टार्ट ऑफ ओनली ऑन द नोट्स?
मेरा तो ग्रेजुएशन ही ह्यूमैनिटीज़ में था, सो मेरे लिए कभी इतना इशू नहीं हुआ अबाउट द फाउंडेशंस थिंग.
ओके.
बट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे अगर कोई आ रहा है मतलब ज्योग्राफी ऑप्शनल में या यूपीएससी की प्रिपरेशन में, देयर फाउंडेशन शुड बी वेरी गुड.
ओके.
बिकॉज बियॉन्ड फाउंडेशन यू विल नेवर बी एबल टू बिल्ड अ गुड स्ट्रक्चर.
करेक्ट.
तो मेरे को कभी इतना फाउंडेशन में इशू नहीं हुआ बिकॉज आई वॉज ऑलवेज अ गुड स्टूडेंट एकेडमिकली स्पीकिंग. आई हैव ऑलवेज बीन अ वेरी गुड स्टूडेंट अबाउट दैट. सो मेरे को कभी मैंने पढ़ाई भी करी. जब मैंने ह्यूमैनिटीज़ भी लिया क्लास 11-12 में, तो मैंने पढ़ाई सीरियसली करी थी. सो मेरे को कभी इतना इशू नहीं हुआ. बट अगेन जब मैं आया यहाँ पे तो मैंने स्टार्ट किया कि यार ABCD से ही स्टार्ट करना है. सो आई रेड दोज NCERTs. पर मैंने NCERTs कॉलेज में ही पढ़ लिए थे.
ओके.
इन द वेरी फर्स्ट ईयर, इन द सेकेंड सेमेस्टर, व्हेन माय सेकेंड सेमेस्टर वाज स्टार्टिंग वे बैक इन January 2016.
राइट.
तो आई जॉइंड अ कोचिंग. तो मुझे डिसाइड ही था कि UPSC देना है, तो मैंने कोचिंग ज्वाइन कर ली थी. और मैं उस कोचिंग में ही I started studying these NCERTs. तो मैंने पहली बार NCERT ज्योग्राफी वहीं पढ़ी थी. तो मैंने भी पढ़ा है. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि मतलब हम अगर पढ़ के भी आए हैं कहीं से या हमारा फाउंडेशन भी अच्छा है, so we'll skip NCERTs. So I will say NCERTs are for everyone.
Yes.
And everyone should read those NCERTs and they should read them well, because कुछ कॉन्सेप्ट आपको ऐसे मिलेंगे जो NCERT में भी बहुत अच्छे से कवर हैं, जो कि एडवांस बुक्स में भी बहुत अच्छे से कवर नहीं होते.
Absolutely.
और मुझे याद है कि एक डायग्राम है ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन का, विच इज़ गिवन इन आई थिंक 11th क्लास NCERT, विच इज़ वेरी गुड डायग्राम. या फिर आई थिंक इंडियन ज्योग्राफी वाली जो NCERT है उसमें भी देयर आर मेनी डायग्राम्स ऑफ इंडिया.
मैप्स आर वेरी गुड इन दैट.
मैप्स आर वेरी गुड इन दैट. सो उस तरीके से आप पढ़िए देखिए स्टार्टिंग तो एनसीईआरटी से ही होनी है. There is no alternative to somehow bypass it here and there.
And why I'm emphasizing on this question, Yasharth, and for all of you viewers, there is that there is okay, a requirement to develop your base very strong. If a base is weak, if a foundation is weak, that the progress ahead will get compromised. And doesn't matter what background you come from, what has been your career record. If you are a good student, probably the base acquisition will become relatively more easier. But base important hai. Don't bypass that process. And somewhere you will have to start having a type of understanding of issues. So Yasharth, I remember you telling me that one reason that kept you motivated was the interest in studying. So how important is this emotional thing about interest, appreciation of whatever you're reading? How important is that?
I think interest, there are two things that happens because of interest. You're able to continue studying that thing for a very long period of time. And this goes especially with optional. In general studies, there might be new things here and there added, but optional is fixed.
Yes.
What you're reading today, even if you're giving your 6th attempt, 6 years later or 7 years down the line, you're reading the same thing. So you might get bored of it. And the only way that will keep your, books interesting and you will be able to bring out new things out of them is your interest. And secondly, I think if something is read with interest, you will remember it for long.
Right.
I think we all like watching cricket matches with so many interest. So you remember what happened on that particular ball even 2 years.
2 years, absolutely.
Down the line.
Yes.
But sometimes when we are reading it with lack of interest, even an interesting concept like tropical cyclone, it might become boring and you might not be able to recall the basic concepts involved behind building up of tropical cyclones.
Yes.
I think interest is a very important thing. And that was one of the reasons why I chose my optional as geography. Interest, I always had a very keen interest.
बताइए कि how can students develop analytical skills? Not just in optional, GS also, because questions are around discussions, around analysis. The questions demand your opinion, they demand you to comment on some developments. So how can you develop, or how did you develop these analytical skills of discussing issues and developments?
I think there are so many issues there.
Yes.
And you have to be analytical about so many issues that it's practically impossible for us to have critical understanding of every issue out there.
Yes.
So first of all, I developed this habit of understanding what is important and what is not.
Okay.
So what is important, I used to study it analytically. And once you have restricted what is important, there are very few topics that for which you have to work hard. Secondly, writing test becomes very important because the more number of questions that you're coming across which requires you to be critically which requires you to analyze things critically, the more comfortable you will become with your critical understanding of the concept, and you will be able to write answers.
A lot of analytical skills develop as you write answers.
Okay. Answer writing is very important because I say a lot of people that उनको खुद ही नहीं पता है बच्चों को कि उनको क्या पता है. मैं कहता हूँ जब तक आप लिखोगे नहीं तो आपको समझ में नहीं आएगा. बहुत टाइम हमको लगता है कि हमको ये कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं पता या हमको ये वाला पार्ट नहीं पता किसी आंसर का, बट जब वो आंसर लिखते हैं तो वो कुछ ना कुछ तो लिख ही रहे हैं. एंड दे राइट समथिंग विच उनको लगता है कि उस टाइम पे नहीं रिमेम्बर था, बट इवन व्हेन आई यूज्ड टू राइट इट आई वाज एबल टू रिकॉल सम थिंग्स. जब कॉन्टेक्स्ट मिलता है तो हमारा दिमाग उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट के हिसाब से सोचने लगता है और तो हमको उस चीज़ के हिसाब से चीज़ें याद आने लगती हैं. तो ऐसा होता है. तो मुझे लगता है कि आंसर राइटिंग इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. और मैंने भी देखा है कि अगर मैं किसी बुक से किसी का क्रिटिकल एनालिसिस पढ़ के भी जा रहा हूँ या फॉर एग्जांपल कोई लॉ आया है या उसका भी क्रिटिकल एनालिसिस हो जाता है कि इसमें ये वर्ड मिसिंग है और दिस वर्ड इज ससेप्टेबल टू मल्टीपल इंटरप्रिटेशंस. जब हम खुद आंसर लिखते हैं तो हम उसका 20-30% लिखते हैं और खुद का एनालिसिस एटलीस्ट 30-40% डालते हैं. हमारे पॉइंट्स एग्जैक्टली वो नहीं होते बिकॉज वी आर नॉट स्टडी इन स्कूल कि इतना सही है एक ही रट के आए हैं वही क्वेश्चन आ जाएगा. तो हम एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग डेवलप करते हैं और जब हम लिखने जाते हैं तो हम वो तो लिखते हैं जो हमको याद आ गया, लेकिन हम कुछ पॉइंट्स अपने भी डालते हैं. एंड दिस स्किल विल कम बाय राइटिंग सो मेनी आंसर्स. आई रिमेंबर दैट मैंने इस साल ज्योग्राफी में 10 टेस्ट लिखे हैं. और ज्योग्राफी भी एनालिटिकल होता जा रहा है. बट ज्योग्राफी में क्या है कि ये सब कंट्रोलेबल है बिकॉज जिसके लिए आपको एनालिटिकल होना है वो आपके सिलेबस में ही दे रखा है. अब अगर क्वांटिटेटिव रेवोल्यूशन आया है तो यू हैव टू अज्यूम कि उसमें आपको पॉजिटिव से नेगेटिव पूछा जा सकता है. या अगर क्वेश्चन है इसी साल रेडिकल ज्योग्राफर्स के आई थिंक ऊपर पूछा है कि व्हाट वर द इश्यूज विद. हाँ, तो आपको पढ़ना ही पड़ेगा कि उनके साथ क्या इशू थे. दे वर सो स्ट्रेट जैकेटेड, they were not able to understand the realities of the world. तो इस तरह की चीज़ें, कोई भी टॉपिक है, मैं कहूँगा स्पेशली विद योर ऑप्शनल के साथ क्या है कि टॉपिक्स फिक्स्ड हैं. आपको पढ़ना है तो आपको एनालिटिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग डेवलप करनी है. अगर आप आइसोस्टेसी का कॉन्सेप्ट पढ़ रहे हो, एरी का या प्रैट का, तो एक लाइन का ही पढ़ो. आई थिंक एरी या प्रैट में से किसी का एक लाइन का ही क्रिटिसिज्म है अबाउट माउंट एवरेस्ट वाली डेप्थ का, पढ़ के जाओ. अगर आप कोवर पढ़ रहे हो तो पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव्स पढ़ के जाओ. अगर आप डेविस की थ्योरी पढ़ रहे हो तो उसका पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव्स पढ़ के जाओ. कॉन्सेप्ट्स आने से कुछ नहीं होगा. द क्वेश्चंस हैव बिकम वेरी एनालिटिकल. यू विल हैव टू डेवलप एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग, और उसके लिए बहुत सारे सोर्सेज हैं. अगर बुक्स में अवेलेबल नहीं है, यू सर्च ऑन द इंटरनेट. आई थिंक देयर इज आल्सो अ वेरी गुड आई थिंक वेबसाइट ईपीजी पाठशाला, जिसमें बहुत सारे टॉपिक्स पे, आई थिंक वहीं से मैंने पढ़ा था अपना ये रेडिकल जोग्राफर्स का. तो उसमें एट द एंड ऑफ द पेज, एट द एंड ऑफ द आर्टिकल्स, दे हैव मेंशन अराउंड 7-8 क्रिटिसिज्म, और मुझे 5-6 याद रह गए थे, तो मैंने उस तरीके से डाला. तो ये चीज़ इंपॉर्टेंट है. कोई भी टॉपिक है ज्योग्राफी में, वेदर इट इज़, अगर वो एरियल डिफरेंशिएशन से भी आता है तो आप पढ़ के जाओ कि एरियल डिफरेंशिएशन का क्या इशू है. एरियल डिफरेंशिएशन को कैसे क्वांटिटेटिव रेवोल्यूशन वालों ने क्रिटिसाइज़ किया, या आज भी क्रिटिसाइज़ करते हैं, या स्पेशल ज्योग्राफी को कैसे क्रिटिसाइज़ करते हैं रीजनल ज्योग्राफी वाले. तो उसमें क्या होगा कि आपको ज्योग्राफर्स के नाम भी याद होंगे. तो मुझे लगता है हर टॉपिक को आपको,
so don't stay with knowing the concepts alone in terms of direct what is it. You have to go into what was good, what was bad, what were the different interpretations. Okay, that way you develop your skills of analysis.
Yes, ये तो बहुत important रहता है UPSC में.
Wonderful. And one thing that troubles students is maps, खासकर geography में. So Yasharth, how did you manage maps in geography?
In the beginning, when I started doing maps, I used to write all the places that came on the newspaper.
Okay.
Even for silly incidents like a bull hitting a man, and so ये कहाँ पे हुआ, उसको भी लिख लेता था. So in the initially, तो आपने कोई जगह मार्क नहीं की होती है, तो मेरे मैप में अराउंड 100-120 प्लेसेस आ जाती थी. मैं उसको मार्क करता था. स्लोली ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम दीज प्लेसेस रिड्यूस टू ओनली 10-20, और वो रेगुलरली डेली आने लगी. तो एक तो वहाँ से हो गया मैप. एंड व्हेन आई यूज्ड टू मार्क वन पर्टिकुलर प्लेस, आई यूज्ड टू कीप एन आई कि उसके आसपास कौन सी जगह हैं. जैसे अगर मैं मार्क कर लूँ, जैसे लेट्स से पन्ना, आपने पन्ना मार्क किया, तो जस्ट लुक ऑन द राइट, देयर सतना, रीवा, उसके साउथ में थोड़ा कतनी है, उसके नॉर्थ ईस्ट में उमरिया है. इफ़ यू मार्क उमरिया, आपके एटलस में ही होगा, बांधवगढ़ भी उसी के पास में ही पड़ता है. तो इस तरह से एक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव अंडरस्टैंडिंग मैंने डेवलप कर ली. अब आप जैसे मार्क कर रहे हो जयपुर, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि जयपुर के नॉर्थ वेस्ट में, अगर आप नॉर्थ ईस्ट में जाओ तो अलवर पड़ जाता है. थोड़ा सा साउथ ईस्ट में चले जाओ तो सवाई माधोपुर है. थोड़ा सा और इधर आ जाओ तो टोंक, दौसा, ये सब शहर जयपुर के पास पड़ जाते हैं. इधर आप नॉर्थ वेस्ट में चले जाओ तो आपको वो झुंझुनू, सीकर, ये सब मिल जाएगा. तो अगर आप जयपुर मार्क कर रहे हो तो केवल जयपुर पे फोकस मत करो, जस्ट कीप एन आई, क्योंकि मैप तो पूरा वेग होता है, मतलब पूरा एक मैप आता है. तो उसमें अगर इधर उधर हो भी जाएगा, तो अगर आपसे पूछा है कि झुंझुनू मार्क करना है, तो आपको पता चल गया है कि जयपुर के पास होगा. तो आप अगर एग्जैक्ट लोकेशन भी आपको नहीं पता है झुंझुनू की, तो आप जयपुर पता है तो आप जयपुर के आसपास ही मार्क कर दोगे. तो एटलीस्ट यू विल हैव सम आइडिया कि कहाँ मार्क करना है, कैसे मार्क करना है. उसके बाद देयर आर सो मेनी बुक्स इन द मार्केट, यू कैन परचेज एनी. मैंने तो ज्योग्राफी थ्रू यू रेफर करी थी, और देयर वाज आल्सो अ बुक, अब मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा, देयर आर मेनी बुक्स अवेलेबल, तो मैं उसको भी ले आया था.
So it's a continuous practice thing.
उसके बाद कंटिन्यूस मैं डेली मैप्स करता था, एटलीस्ट फॉर हाफ एन आवर. कुछ दिन तो ऐसा भी होता था कि मतलब सम डेज वर स्पेसिफिकली रिजर्व फॉर माय मैप्स आल्सो. तो उस दिन मैंने मैप 3 घंटे कर लिया जैसे. तो उस दिन बेसिक रिवीजन होता था,
राइट.
मतलब हर चीज़ का, माउंटेन्स का, रिवर्स का, प्लेन्स का, प्लेटूज का, तो इस तरीके से.
So very nice, Yasharth, a very nice conversation with you. A lot of insights about how you prepared, your time management, your current affairs preparation. So as you wind up, I'll request you to say something as a message to our students, aspirants, how they can manage themselves, how they can keep themselves motivated. If you can have something for them, please.
I think what I can speak from is my failures in my first and second attempt. So what I did in this very attempt, and which I think any aspirant who is coming into this field can do, is to practice more and more tests for prelims, and to write more and more tests for your mains. And I think focus is specifically on your optional, because optional will give you very good dividends. And I think anyone who wishes to get a service like IAS or IPS or any of the top 3 services, I think for them, focusing on optional become very important thing, because optional, it will create a differential between you and the other competitors, which is very difficult with general studies. Very, very rarely do people get very exceptional scores in general studies, but people do get very good scores in their optional. So I would say focus specifically on your optional. Again, the same drill, using regional diagrams and giving examples, case studies and everything in your answer will make your geography answers very well. At the end of the day, writing more and more tests in geography is the ultimate key to success, and I would ask even those general studies students to write as many tests as possible, but again, having patience, because this journey will come with its own set of ups and downs, and not be demotivated by downs, and not to be becoming overconfident after getting good marks in the test. You have to keep working and keep improving, because I can say my journey, if I were to summarize it in terms of 2-3 words, it is like learning from my failures, and I was able to learn and to be able to recognize my failures from my first and second attempt, and that's why I was able to get a rank like 12. Otherwise, if I would have gone on the way I was, I might not even have found my name in the list as well. So I would say that learning from failures is very important, and reading from giving adequate amount of hours, having a very simple schedule, and studying regularly. And a lot of times I tell people that anyone who's coming into the UPSC field, they work hard. Everyone works hard, because without hard work there's nothing.
Yes.
But I think even in maths we study about necessary conditions and sufficient condition. Hard work is a necessary condition, but consistently working hard,
That's important.
that's a sufficiently important condition for success. So working hard is not important. You'll have to work hard for a relatively longer period of time, let's say at least for a minimum period of 1 year. You'll have to be patient with your optional, if your optional is geography, and then work on it regularly, consistently, read regularly, daily, don't take breaks. If I can give an example, the last geography optional test that I wrote it on 31st December midnight.
Wow.
And so many people were calling me back then to wish me Happy New Year and everything. So many and a group of friends wanted Skype with me to wish me, because I was not coming out and everything, and I was writing a test from 11 p.m. in the night till 2 in the morning. So I had given up almost every little pleasure of life. I was not celebrating Diwali and Holi and everything. Holi to nahi pada, lekin Diwali pada tha. So again, if I were to say that in simple words, if you're willing to give up some things for a relatively fewer years or lesser number of time, you'll eventually get everything.
Investment.
That's an investment for which you'll get very good returns, and I can tell you from a brief stay on the other side of the divide, it's worth every struggle, it's worth every pain or every bout of depression that you have been through. So work hard for it, and eventually, if you're working hard consistently, you'll achieve success. And I wish everyone who is watching this video, and especially those with geography optional, best of luck for that.
Thank you so much, Yasharth. It's such a pleasure having you, and I hope you inspire all of them, okay, and all of them can take back something great from this discussion. Thank you so much. That's all from our side for now. All the best. My wishes to you. Thank you.